Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kim and today I'm giving you my review of Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. Alright, so I'm putting it back here, that way I can have my hands and talk, because I talk a little bit easier when I can move my hands around and be more expressive and all of that good stuff. But anyway, some general stuff to know about it. So Mistborn, it was originally named The Final Empire, so if you search for Mistborn, you'll see the title Final Empire. I'm guessing when they re-released with the new covers, they just said Mistborn as the first book. So that is The Final Empire, and the author is Brandon Sanderson. It is in the fantasy genre, and it was copyright from 2006. So some general oversight of what this book is about. It is a high fantasy adventure that you go on. You follow a pretty large cast of characters throughout. These are kind of a ragtag conglomeration of characters that are thieving crews, basically. And their whole goal is to overthrow the Empire and the Lord Ruler, who controls everything, and he's a pretty brutal character and rules with a very heavy-handed fist. It's also, the world has a very specific magic system. There are a lot of rules and regulations of how it is used, and there are consequences when the person is finished using it, or if they keep the materials with them, inside them, then bad things could happen to them if they don't burn it off. Okay, so that's kind of the overall idea of the book. So they are trying to free the enslaved Ska people and overthrow this very cruel ruler. Okay, so that's kind of the overall picture of what this book is about. Again, I'm going to try to keep it as spoiler-free as I possibly can. I do want to talk about my thoughts, my opinions, and experiences with you, what I liked, what I disliked, characters that I truly fell in love with, the ones I'm kind of meh about, and characters that I really, really hated. So that's kind of what I wanted to kind of touch on. Again, I don't want to over spoil it and give you too much detail, because then you may get turned off or not want to pick up the book. But if you're interested in what I have to say and you want to pick it up, it won't be spoiled for you that way either. So overall, I really, really enjoyed this. This is really my first attempt in reading high fantasy in the adult genre world, and it's not the YA more glossed over some things. This is, you know, really intense at times in this book, but I really overall enjoyed it. I believe I gave it a 5-star rating. His writing style does take some getting used to. A lot of information, especially in this very first book, a lot of info dumping, as a lot of people on BookTube call it. A lot of information is thrown at you to help you understand this world, and he builds the world around, you know, so that you understand what this world is, how it runs, how it functions, and those types of things, and where everyone's role or position in society should be, and if you try to go out of it, bad things will happen to you. It did take some time for me to get into it. Like I said, that first chunk of the book does take, because it is so much information, so you can process it and understand it. And this is my first time running through the book. I think if it, when I do a reread, it won't be as shock value as trying to absorb everything. I will have a basis for it. It is a good book though. Once you get through and you understand the world, the story and the plot just takes off, and you don't want to put down the book. At least that was my experience. Once again, once I hit my groove and I understood enough of it so that the plot could just bloom, it was phenomenal, and it just took off, and I didn't want to put it down. I wanted to keep reading just one more chapter, and that's a sign to me of a really good book. Okay, because I did not want to put it down. Even at late at night and I knew I needed to go to sleep, I wanted to keep on reading. So some of the characters, some of my favorite characters that were introduced, of course, the main character, she was found by Kelser, who is the leader and brings together this whole crew of people, and it's him who is kind of pushing this, let's overthrow the Lord Ruler. But he finds Vin. She, I think, is around 16, 17 years old when he finds her in another group who is very abusive towards her. She is the only female in the group. They do beat her a lot. She tries to kind of stay away and make herself as small and unnoticeable as possible. But he does take her under his wing, and because he realized she is actually a Mistborn, and has her portray a noblewoman to get the information he needs. And it's really interesting to see her develop as this unsure, very standoffish character who doesn't want to trust anybody from her life experiences, and watch her slowly grow and start trusting people and understanding what it is that her place in this group is going to be. And she still kind of questions, are we doing the right thing? Is he trustworthy? Is he not? So she's still in this questioning zone. And it's good to watch her still bloom and blossom into a very strong character towards the end of the book. So yes. So yeah, she's a great character. I really enjoyed her. Sazed, he doesn't have as big of a role in this book. We are introduced to him. He is more of a scholarly person, a keeper of knowledge. He actually helps out in passing on information. His goal is to, in life, is to, as I said, he's a keeper of knowledge, and his goal is to give that to others. His specialty is in religion. And he does come to really care for this group of people, even though he's not supposed to get involved in politics and all of this other things that are going on. He is simply supposed to be an observer. So he is another good character to watch develop and become a stronger character, and watch him kind of battle of this morality. Should I, save these people, or should I just be this completely objective observer and document simply what is going on? So he battles back and forth with that type of dilemma for him. So he is a good character as well to watch develop as he went through. Dachshund, I really enjoyed him. He kind of keeps Kelsier a little bit more grounded, whereas Kelsier is more of the idea man, the risk taker, sometimes to the detriment to himself and others. But Dachshund kind of keeps him grounded. He doesn't mind really telling him, hey, you're kind of being dumb. Not in those exact words, but he does question him. He's not just a simple lamb following this other person. Even though it kind of makes Kelsier a little bit angry if he perceives people doubting him, but it's also good check and balances for him. Alright, some characters that I kind of have mixed feelings. They kind of left me meh feeling with them. The first one I would say would be Eland, even though he's kind of ended up being like sort of the love interest in the book. He's still kind of meh, because he is a nobleman. He is from one of the top ruling families in this world. His father, he enjoys annoying his father to see what he can get away with, and how angry he can make his father, rebelling against him just to see what he can get away with. He is very much a philosopher style character. He does a lot of weird interactions with Vin. He seeks her out and kind of flirts with her, and then the next time that they meet up, he's very cold to her. So he's was portrayed kind of more of a wishy-washy type of character, and it was really weird. And then all of a sudden, these two, him and Vin, are supposedly in love or very attracted to one another, but it's really weird because they don't seem to have a lot of interactions together. I know someone in a group that I was in was saying that there's kind of a time-lapse thing going on. I'm not really sure about that. Again, this is my first time reading through, so I don't know if I just didn't pick up on the intricacies that showed this relationship growing, but there is kind of that, so that's why I'm kind of meh about him and their relationship, because it did kind of feel that insta-levy type of thing when I first read through it, and so that's kind of where I left off with him. Kelsier, also mixed feelings about him. I know he is kind of the mastermind behind everything. But I don't know, and this is kind of where I left off with him, I don't know if he would have saved Ven from the life she was living if he didn't realize she was a Mistborn and that he could use her in his plot to overthrow the Lord Ruler. So I don't know, and that's the kind of quandary I was left with him. You know, he's, to me, is kind of a morally gray character because he thinks any means is justifiable as long as he gets the results that he wants and that he needs for his group and for his plan to go forward. So I don't know, and that's why I'm kind of on the fence about whether I like him or not. Because of that, you know, would he have saved her? Or would he have left her there if she wasn't a key role for him in his group to get the information that he needed? So that's kind of where I left off with him. Leave me some comments down below. What are your thoughts about these characters if you have read this book so far, so that we can compare notes and all of those types of things. And, you know, am I in the right of thinking this way about these characters, or are some of these characters your favorites or least favorites, and where would you put them in what I have been talking about so far? Alright, so the character Cloves. He's another one that I'm kind of on the fence. He can be kind of funny at times, and then he can be equally as aggravating to his fellow crew members. And he just kind of almost plays the devil's advocate with them. He doesn't mind, I think, using his allomancy powers against other people to get the things that he wants, and all of those types of things. So in a way, I think he might also be kind of a morally gray person for that reason. And again, he just uses it whenever he wants. He doesn't really use it just for the greater good type of things. He just does it for every small thing that he wants. And that's kind of where I've left off with him. We don't see a ton of him in the book, so that's kind of my take on him. Let me know down below if I'm wrong about him or not. And then the other two characters that we just don't see enough of for me to really formulate a really good opinion about them, and that's the characters Ham and Breeze. I believe Ham is supposed to be a thug and use his abilities to be kind of like an enforcer, more or less, in the crew, fire-wise. Breeze, his gift is to like soothe emotions, either to get the emotional response for whatever meeting that they go to keep either the group calm or to raise their fighting spirits or whatever it happens to be. That's about all that I know about these two characters from reading this book. There wasn't a ton, like I said, of page time with these two to really know whether I truly like them or dislike them. So that's why they kind of, right now, characters for me, because they're just not enough information on them to really determine my thoughts and opinions on them. Alright, these next two characters, they were meant to be characters not to be liked. You cannot write characters like this and expect people to really enjoy them and gung-ho vote and, you know, root for them. The first one is Lord Venture. This is Elend's father. He is a horrible character, absolutely distasteful in every shape, form, or fashion. He just basically despises his son. He embarrasses him. He likes to humiliate him. He thinks he's worthless. And then the things that he does and attempts to do to his only child and heir is awful. I'm not going to go into what he does or what he's wanting to do to his child. I'll let you guys read up on that, but it is absolutely horrendous, and I cannot believe any father would ever want to do that to their child. And we'll leave it at that. But he is not a nice man in any shape, form, or fashion. He is pretty much out for himself and his place in society to keep on top of all of the other ruling families. And yeah, he's awful. Okay. And then we have the Lord Ruler himself. There is a saying that says, absolute power corrupts absolutely. This character exemplifies that to a T. The Lord Ruler took in this massive amount of power in order to save the world from thousands of years ago. And it basically corrupted him in every way that we know. He is a horrible dictator. He has enslaved the Ska people, which is the lowest caste in society. They basically are slaves. They do the planting, they do the mining work, every low-level work there is. He lets the noblemen do whatever they want to these Ska workers, to the women, to the men, as long as they kill them when they're done with them. He's okay with it. So yeah, he is a horrible ruler. He, does everything with an iron fist. He does beheadings, he does whippings, he does everything to keep everyone in check, in line, and so that no one bucks the system. He is not a nice man, nice ruler in any shape, form, and he basically sets himself up as a god to these people. Alright, so those are kind of my experiences with these characters. It was very interesting to see how everyone was woven together to create this story. Again, once you get through all the information about the world and everyone's place within the world and the plot takes off, it is phenomenal. I can't recommend it enough. Again, this is my, like I said, my first going into adult fantasy, and it has not disappointed me at all. So the magic system, this is pretty much a very hard and fast magic system. It's called Elemancy. This is where if you are the Mistborn, you pretty much can use any type of metal. It is a metal-based magic system. So each metal that you intake has a specific power to it. And then any, I don't remember the correct terminology in science, I'm not good with that. So you have a main metal element, and then you have its lesser element, and they kind of counterbalance one another. But once that metal burns and is gone, then you don't have that ability. So each of the metals, some burn really fast, others burn very slow, and you have to be able to balance and know when that is over. You have to strategically plan on how you're using it so that you don't get yourself in trouble if you're in the middle of a big battle and you burn through one element very quickly that you really need, and then it's no longer, then you set yourself up to be potentially harmed or killed. So you kind of have to balance it out. So the Mistborns, they can use all elements or all metals as long as they're balanced correctly, and perform different types of magic with that. If you were misting, you're able to basically only use one of the metals, and when if you're like a soother, there's one specific metal for that. If you're a thug, that basically you're a very strong individual, a metal that pumps you up to make you very strong and hard to hurt. There are others that you can sling metal or pull metal, different things like that. So it's a very specific, it's not that I wish that I had X and it just appears, or you can do this type of thing. So, and it's something that you have to learn. It's not something you automatically are able to do. You have to practice and learn and adjust and know that if it's a good quality metal or just a very poor quality as to how strong or how effective that your magic would then be. So I enjoyed that it wasn't this very loosey-goosey type, but it's a very formal, structured type of magic system, so I did enjoy that a lot for that. So that was a great introduction to a magic system. Like I said, I gave it a 5-star rating because I did truly enjoy it after, like I said, I got through that whole world building at that time, at the beginning, and then it progressed so well. I would definitely highly recommend this book to anyone who's wanting to get into fantasy. Again, he's a fairly easy writer to read, but you just have to go in knowing that there's going to be a lot of world building at the very beginning, so you understand the world you're exploring as you go through the story. But after that, his writing is very easy to follow and to understand. I would not say the language is very challenging. I think most people could read it and understand it. They're not doing a huge, extremely high vocabulary. There are some specific words base for this particular world. Once you get used to that lingo, you're good. But otherwise, I think it's very engaging, and to the point that I didn't want to put it down, and from what I've heard from other people, the same thing. So yes, I would highly recommend it. If you're interested in getting into fantasy, I definitely would start with the Mistborn trilogy, and specifically with the Final Empire, because it does set everything up. Currently in book 3, so I will hopefully get out the review for the second book soon. But anyways, I hope you have enjoyed today's video. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until my next video, I hope you have a good one. Bye!